refreshed and re-energized for our fourth panel of the summit. The fourth panel of the summit is titled Non-Profitable and Halal Economic Strategies Within the Framework of Islamic Economics. We will listen to our experts discuss how to better build entrepreneurial ecosystems, how to build trust in Zakah management, integrating Waqf with national development plans, and forming strategic frameworks in building a halal economy. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the moderator of the panel, the head of Islamic finance at the National Australia Bank, Mr. Imran Loom. Please join me on the stage. Our panelists are founder, managing director, and chief executive officer at Taj Bank Ltd, Mr. Hamid Joda. Lead researcher, Center of Islamic Social Finance and International Center for Education in Islamic Finance University, Associate Professor Ziad Mohammed. Director of AAOI-FI FinTech Working Group member, Mr. Motaz Aboujib. And last but not least, the General Manager at Halal Control, Mr. Mahmoud Tatari.
سيداتي وسادتي والضيوف الأفاضل، يسرني كثيراً أن أرحب بكم إلى هذه الجلسة الهامة حول الموضوع استراتيجيات اقتصادية حلال وغير الربحية ضمن الإطار الاقتصاد الإسلامي. It's a mouthful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this phenomenal session here today. A very important session that we're going to be talking about the not-for-profit sector, but halal economic strategies within the framework of Islamic economics. My name is Imran, I'm from Australia. And it goes without saying that the very foundations of this blessed land that we gather on here today were built on, sustained by benevolent people with using these benevolent structures. And these structures like Zakat, Awqaf, didn't just contribute to the development of society, they defined empires across the Muslim world. And today here in this great city, we are all inheritors of these visionary individuals that had us in mind when they were building the wells, building the roads, building the Sufi lodges and the souks of this city. And we all know that a lot of these awqaf and zakat institutions were nationalized during the establishment of the nation states. However, what we're seeing are the gradual embers of its resurgence. And today, that's what we're about to discuss. And to discuss this important area, we have an absolute blockbuster lineup for you here today. We have to my left, Mr. Hamid Joda. He's the managing director and CEO of Taj Bank in Nigeria. He's a seasoned banker with over 20 years of experience across treasury, retail banking, business development, and the public sector. And he's going to be talking about SME and strategies towards activation. Just to his left is Associate Professor Ziad, lead researcher for the Center of Islamic Social Finance at Oxford and the International Center of Education in Islamic Finance University, or INSIEF. He's a global expert in Islamic social finance, specializing in Zakat, Waqf, Islamic microfinance, and social impact sukuk. He blends Sharia scholarship with leadership in sustainability, fintech, financial inclusion across multiple jurisdictions. And he'll be talking about the role of strategic planning in Zakat management. And to his left is our beautiful brother, Dr. Motaz Aboujib. He's a fintech working group member of OFI. He's a senior Islamic finance and fintech expert with over 18 years experience in Sharia research, policy advisory, fintech innovation. He has advised regulators, financial institutions, multilaterals, contributes to books, reports, and Sharia compliant solutions across multiple countries. Dr. Motaz will be talking about integrating Waqf with national development plans and strategic alignment for broader impact. And last but not least, we have Brother Mahmoud. Where is Mahmoud Tatari, the General Manager of Halal Control. Mahmoud Tatari is a German electrical engineer with the founder of and General Manager of Halal Control, based in Germany, a leading halal certification body. And he serves as the head of the Integrity and Ethics Committee of the World Halal Council. And he'll be talking about halal economies, unified strategies. So without further ado, what we're going to do is, inshallah, we're going to have each of the panel members give a short talk, and then we're going to be opening up for a discussion. So I'd like to call Dr. Mu'taz to kick off the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakum Allah khair. First of all, let me express my gratitude for the organizers for having this lovely event and choosing this important topic, looking to the strategies. I have very few slides which I will be using and helping it to probably tackle this important aspect that's related to how we can basically address the key issue that we have, which has been highlighted since the starting day. Starting from the keynote speech of the Excellency President himself, where he said, we have made some progress so far, but are we making the impact that we need or not? So, he highlighted that, yes, we have, when we look to the growth, yes, we have sizable growth, but at the end of the day, we are still very small when we have a very, I would say, low impact. We are not yet there, right? So maybe I will just take the podium for the presentation slides if the organizers can put the slides on, please. Okay, anyway, I mean, we can, yeah, no worries, thank you. Yeah. So I don't know if someone is, on the charge of the screen, if they can put the slides on. But anyway, we can move on. I think, it's, what I wanted to start with is basically to highlight that Islamic economics is not equal to Islamic banking, or even not just Islamic banking plus, zakat, or even not just Islamic economics plus zakat and waqf. It's a harmonized system of institutions that work together and to achieve the impact that we have. So what has been done so far that, we have started because of the domination of the conventional banking. What happened? Basically, we started by saying that, okay, let's have an institution to avoid using the ribawi system, or the ribawi banking system. So we came up with the Islamic banking sector. But however, the expectation that this one type of institution will solve all our problem is just not right. So that we really need all the institutions to work together. So in Islam, we have zakat to tackle on the needy side, on other few aspects that I will not touch more on it. We have our brothers will touch on this. But basically, zakat will tackle one specific or a couple of specific issues. And then we have the waqf. And the waqf can tackle also a long-term issues that we have, especially, for example, in education and health. So waqf is not just about mosque. It's not about building masjids and taking care of them. It's much way beyond that, right? So even historically, even when it started during the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was the call to take care of a water resource, right? So that's a pretty much important aspect that we need to understand and take care of. And in fact, waqf is not also a government tool. And this is another very important aspect that we need really to understand. I think they put the slides on, but if we can have the pointer, please, that would be great. Sure. So it is a cohesive, system at the end of the day, where they are like all these sectors, they work together in harmony. They are interlocked gears together, right? So waqf is not a centralized system. It's to empower communities, right? So what we need basically is to empower communities. Let's say, for example, I am from a village, right, in a remote area. I will know what is the issues facing that community. And if I am privileged enough with some wealth, I will put some money, or I maybe call for other help, and we'll put money together to tackle a specific problem in that community. And this means that the waqf system, remember that the waqf is the one who put the fund and decide who will manage this waqf. And this is very important, because this means a more of decentralization, right? So I will decide. Of course, government can play a role, and that's something we can discuss about later. And what would be the role of the regulator? But the bottom line here, it is waqf is a specific type of institution with a specific model that can tackle specific type of issues, right? So taking this responsibility from the shoulder of the government and taking care of something that will ensure sustainability. And then we have other institutions. When we talk about institutions, it's contracts and beyond, right? So we have the mudaraba. Mudaraba is basically to empower entrepreneurs, is basically to tackle that one aspect. And we are not doing justice when we say that why Islamic banks are not introducing mudaraba. They may not be the best institution to use that contract. Of course, I'm not saying that they should not look into that, but it will not fit all the purpose. So what I'm trying here to say, we don't have much time to go into details on each one of these types, but what I'm trying here to say that, at the end of the day, Islamic economics is a harmonized system that works all together. It's like bits and pieces of institutions. They work together, right? So waqf can be one on the central, probably, in my view, especially nowadays when we really need to have something beyond the traditional aspects. And I think, Islamic banking has received enough attention so far that we really need to take care of the other sectors. So at the end of the day, whatever we do, if we take out even one type of institution out of this Islamic economic system, I think, we will not be able to really achieve the goal. So this is, the call to rethink about our strategy, right? So this is why I put here, the title, if we are not on the right path, optimizing the journey would not take us where we need to go. So for me, this is a key message. This is where we need to relook to our strategy and build up upon it. So taking from that, the path to the sustainability, we talked about these institutions, but these institutions also, they are not enough alone. They are alone not enough really to achieve the goal. At the end of the day, we need to look into the whole ecosystem, right? So it's not only the financial, not just the commercial, the social, but we need also to look to the whole ecosystem. And when we talk about ecosystem, we need to look into all enabling elements, right? Human capital is the key, is pretty much key. But governance is also very important, right? Awareness in the market is another very important aspect, right? Innovation, which has been highlighted by some of the keynote speakers. I recall that the minister have highlighted even this. The minister has also highlighted yesterday a very important aspect, is the liquidity, right? So we need liquidity instruments in the market. So overall, we need to have, here I have listed just, 10 other aspects, right? Like public awareness, human capital, liquidity that we talk about, the financial safety net, Sharia governance, legal and regulatory framework. So we really need taxation system. So we will not be able to succeed until and unless we tackle all the ecosystem elements. So it's about having the impact. It's about harmonize. It's about harmony. It's about enabling this ecosystem, have a balanced development, all these, on this. And ISDB, the Islamic Development Bank, has done a magnificent job by introducing a tool, basically, a strategic tool that is called Islamic Finance Strategy Mapping Framework. It's a framework, it's a tool as well that helps basically countries to do assessment of this ecosystem. So I was privileged to be part of the team consultancy team under IFAS that they helped into developing this tool and implementing it, right? So what we have done with ISDB is basically to help the national authorities to develop a national plans that tackle all of this system. So what we do is we do assessments of this ecosystem, and the result of this assessment will be like, what are the gaps and what will be the solutions that we need to tackle to really get what we need. So overall, really the true progress for me is just, it's about having at least two elements here. The functional institutions and enabling ecosystems. So together, if we put them together and strategically we position them, we integrate them towards what we really need, our goal, I think then we will have the right impact, right? So to do so, and this is my final points basically here, is just to achieve this, we really need to have a comprehensive national plan. And there are at least 5 characteristics of this comprehensive national plan, at least in my view. Of course, there will be other aspects, other characteristics, but we can highlight at least 5. So the first one is evidence-based. So we cannot jump into, just assumptions. Islamic banking is not growing here anymore because of lack of product innovation. It might be the reason, but might be not, right? So we really need to have evidence-based, national plan. So we really need to start from identifying the gaps, the needs, and the priority, which will be different from country to country. We need to understand this because we often tend to just borrow, ESG plans as it is, etc. I'm not against that, but at the end of the day, there will be a national priorities. We need to have a strategic in design, so it's long-term in design, right? So we need to have integrated across sectors. We shall not leave any sector behind, right? So we need to take about waqf, zakat, commercial banking, social banking, SME financing, microfinancing, all of them, they work together. And, often we really forget one of these aspects, right? So we don't look into zakat, we don't look into something saying that, this is out the scope of the financial regulator. But there should be a way to do so. And then it's about balance. So balance of deploying the commercial, waqf, and social finance, among others. And then the final point is purposeful, right? So we are doing all of this for a very specific, clear purpose. We should have the goal very clear. So each component, play a specific role. So we don't put over expectation of any one of these institutions. So let me conclude by that, and then thank you very much. I hope that I didn't take much of.
Yeah, no, you were good.
Within the
very
time.
mashallah, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mu'taz. Big round of applause. Next, we have Professor Ziad, inshallah, who will be talking about zakat.
جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ما بعد. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. We, of course, begin by showing gratitude to the organizers. This is the second Al-Baraka Forum that I'm attending in the last few months. MashaAllah, the organization is exceptional, and more importantly, the talks from yesterday have been really inspiring, really on point. And I'm going to continue from where Dr. Mu'taz has left off. He's talked about an integrated ecosystem. Zakat can only exist effectively in an integrated ecosystem. I'm going to talk about some of the pain points and then opportunities, and then perhaps suggest some strategies on how we can overcome these challenges. So to begin with, I want you to do something. I want you to remember 3 numbers. I know it's after lunch and it's difficult for you to concentrate, so I want you to remember 3 numbers. And let's see if you do remember them when I bring up this discussion again. So the first number is 1.2 million. You got that? 1.2 million? Memorized it? Second number, 175,000. 175,000. The third number, 20 million. 20 million. Very easy. 1.2 million, 175,000, and yes? 20 million. Okay, just checking if you're awake. All right, great. So let's go into a brief discussion of how we are going to cover the next 7 minutes. First of all, I'm going to talk about zakat as a divine mandate, a strategic duty. Divine mandate, we know that. Strategic duty, that's where we've fallen short. We'll talk about the massive untapped pool of zakat funds available. We'll talk about the trust deficit, justice that requires transparency, and then finally time for some principled innovation. So very quickly, divine mandate. Divine mandate, we all know very well. More than 30 times in the Quran, zakat is next to salah as an obligation. We know it's the third pillar. And although a few days ago I've had the discussion on social finance with a group of academics, and they said, you know, zakat is something that we should do from ourselves, meaning that it's a voluntary act. It's not a voluntary act, people. It's mandatory, just as salah is mandatory in Islam. Zakat is also mandatory. But unfortunately, the understanding of what zakatul mal is, zakat on wealth is fairly misunderstood globally. So you have a significant amount of zakat that is not paid simply because of a misunderstanding. And I'll share with you experience as we go along to make it easier to absorb. We've done work in Central Asia, and I won't name the country, but we've done work in Central Asia, and we've gone from one end of this country to another, surveying the understanding of zakat. And almost 90% of people would tell us, in their idea, in their knowledge, zakat means that amount that you pay in Ramadan before the Eid. When we explain, but what about zakatul mal? They say, no, that is not for us. That's, you know, for people with livestock and farming. We don't do that. So we don't have to pay zakat on that. All we have to do is pay that zakat in Ramadan, otherwise our fast is not accepted. This is an entire country. Yes, we are in a serious challenge. All right. Now, the Quran itself is clear, the hadith, the ahadith are clear. I want to point out one saying that is attributed to the Prophet ﷺ on the issue of zakat. Attributed to him, it has a weak chain, but the saying goes, "Az-zakatu kal-jisr fil Islam." Zakat is like a bridge in Islam, meaning it's a bridge that takes you safely to the right side of where you want to land on Qiyamah, but it is also a bridge of empowerment. It's a bridge of integrity. The commentators of this saying say it's a bridge of integrity, meaning it gives people dignity, money that they did not have, they now have to actually spend on their families. And this is a very important lesson that we learn. Now, we know the challenges. We know zakat is mismanaged in many countries. We know that zakat is not collected effectively. We know that zakat is not well understood internationally. But let's talk about some of the opportunities. So in 2015, the famous study by Islamic Development Bank and the World Bank identify, through a calculation of the GDPs of the OIC countries, that between $200 billion and $1 trillion US is available in zakat every year. Now, if we just take that figure and calculate what it would take to eradicate, although eradicate, I'm using air quotes because you can't really eradicate poverty, but to remove as much of poverty as possible, you'd need between 3 and 6 trillion US dollars. That's all. That's not a lot. If you had 5 years of effective zakat giving, efficient zakat management and giving, the entire world will feel the impact of moving above the poverty line. Do you understand how significant that is? This is just from one instrument. Dr. Mu'taz explained to us there are so many different components in an Islamic finance ecosystem. Zakat is only one element of redistribution policy in Islamic economics. And there are so many others. Now, there's a significant portion, often 80% or more in many countries, of zakat that is not actually collected. And even in those countries where zakat is collected, that means they have ministries, and there are about 7 countries that have formal ministries of zakat. We find that only up to 20% of actual zakat is collected in organized countries. And here I'm referring to Malaysia, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. These countries actually have zakat mechanisms coming in formally. So, what is the big problem? First of all, the key causes of what we can call a crisis of confidence. In the Islamic world, we'd always talk about the lack of strong leadership. In the zakat ecosystem, we talk about the crisis of confidence or the deficit of trust. Now, what are some of the reasons that cause this? First of all, when zakat payers are unable to trace where their funds go to, they don't know when it reaches the mustahiq, the person who is eligible to collect it, they begin to lose confidence. So they say, well, because zakat is an ibadah, we want to hand it over by our hands so that we know we can answer on that final day that we have discharged our zakat. However, this creates a significant amount of inefficiencies. So significant that even in Pakistan, where it is a state-driven collection system, it is only approximately 2% of the population that do pay within the state mandatory system. And when I say mandatory, in Pakistan, if you're not sure of how it works, on the 1st or 2nd of Ramadan every year, 2.5% will be deducted from your bank account as a payment of zakat. If you don't trust your government, what would you do? A week or 2 before, you'd withdraw your funds, which is exactly what happens. I've done a full country survey in Pakistan, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, put it back in. So you're not going to pay that zakat. You will still pay zakat, but you will pay it with your hand. This creates a significant amount of inefficiency. By the way, we have investigated the zakat ministry and how they spend their funds, and really it is one of the most organized departments in the country. A very efficient and effective system. But because public confidence has eroded generally, they will still not pay that zakat because they, in their perception, will say, every time we pay zakat, an administrator has a new car. It's a perception, but that goes as a package deal. There are systemic inefficiencies and operational inertia. You know, when you use an old manual archaic system, okay, an old machinery, to suddenly convert into an AI agent that controls a workflow, it seems fictional, very fictional. Now, that operational inertia, which we can say you stuck in an old system, arises either because of old regulation, or because we are not well trained, or because we don't have adequate capital to change the system. And that is a huge, huge inefficiency. We sometimes need to look at the past to go forward. Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu established a very efficient zakat system in its collection and distribution. Umar bin Abdul Aziz, Umar II, in his priority of distribution and collection of zakat said, we need to build trust first. And if you know the history, when he stepped in, there had been a lot of public erosion of trust, very similar to what we've had now. In a very short time, he established such a level of transparency that it is said there was difficulty in finding a person to receive zakat in the entire Islamic empire. That's what transparency and efficiency can achieve. Now, the impact deficit. We are stuck in a consumptive zakat paradigm, which means we are still dealing with survival and needs with zakat in most countries. It is essential that we move that from a consumptive base to a productive base. And I'll talk about that in examples perhaps a bit later. Now, the strategic imperative, and I'm going to try and close with this. We said principled innovation. And how we can achieve this is with governance. Good governance, innovation in zakat itself, and the use of technology. And I'll give you just one example before I hand over back to the able moderator. In 2016, 2017, we embarked on a project with the International Federation of Red Cross, Red Crescent in Kenya. And the idea here was to help the counties in Kenya. There were 4.2 million people affected by drought and famine in Kenya, and then suddenly there were floods. So the Red Cross, Red Crescent identified one area called Kitui County. Guess how many families live in Kitui County? The second number. You remember the second number? What was the second number? Brilliant. 175,000 families lived in Kitui County. So the idea was this: let's collect zakat, but we're not going to hand over zakat to them. They are going to take the zakat. The Red Cross will then implement it in a productive manner, because 175,000 families, the majority of them were farmers. So they would identify the area, which was approximately 245,000 acres. I didn't give you that figure, but it was about 245,000 acres. Identify all the bore wells and boreholes in that area, use the money, use zakat money to upgrade the bore wells, buy farmers' packs of green gram, and then train all the farmers in modern farming so that they can maximize the output from the land and make it a sustainable farming initiative. That means they can do more cycles of output of farming than just that single harvest. Fine. They reached out to Malaysia, and one innovative state in Malaysia, the Mufti said, yes, we will allow you, through the Sultan, to take zakat of $1.2 million. Remember $1.2 million? The first figure. Took $1.2 million, and then through a very organized and strategic plan, designed the rehabilitation of the land, prepared the farmers' packs and the training, and then empowered the farmers. Within 6 months, harvest comes out. What's the value of that harvest? Thank you. You knew the answer already. $20 million US. What do you think about that business proposition? Which capitalist entrepreneur will not be interested in that business proposition? $1.2 million, which was 5 million ringgit, converted to $20 million. Do you know what the farmers did? They were so excited with the output. They said, look, we don't need so much. In fact, we've never seen so much. Why don't you, meaning the Red Cross, take 30 to 50% of this, take half of this. There is a county next to us that is also struggling and suffering. Why don't you give it to them? And this is exactly what happened. And I'm going to end off by saying, we also, and the last challenge is we are stuck in the fiqhi issues around zakat. So traditionally, a scholar will say, well, you cannot use this zakat out of Malaysia, number one. You cannot use this zakat for a non-Muslim. Kitui County were at least 50% non-Muslim. So already it may be controversial for many scholars. But through a lot of thinking, a lot of debate, a lot of deliberation, they eventually allowed this to take place. So now you see an entire community that's empowered, where a 50% non-Muslim community is now willing to give to the community next door, which is 100% Muslim, the other way around. I'm going to end off by saying there are 4 things to remember from this discussion. Number one, we need to build trust. But that can only be done through radical transparency. If you use technology, if you use blockchain and AI, and we'll talk about that a bit later, you can actually enhance and build trust. We need to shift to productive zakat. In here, we need to invest in livelihoods, not just relief. We are in a relief paradigm, not in a productive livelihood paradigm. It needs to be data-driven. It needs to have Sharia governance. And here we just can use AI to precisely tie in all of these initiatives. And finally, we need to have a collective accountability, because we know whatever good we advance, it's for ourselves. We're only going to see the benefit in the hereafter. And if we recognize and internalize that, we can get zakat strategically to benefit all of mankind, inshallah. I'm going to end it there and perhaps lead on to the questions.
Jazakumullah khair. Professor, round of applause, please. Super interesting. Looking forward to that discussion afterwards. I'd like to call Brother Mahmoud Tatari, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The main topic for my presentation is to provide a holistic concept how to develop our Muslim society into a society of excellence and best practice. So also how to foster a broader recognition of the halal tayyib system and how to deliver the amana across all the levels of the economy. The Muslim society is a value-driven society. Why a value-driven society? Because Islam is representing not only aqidah and sharia, but also akhlaq, the ethical conduct. The ethical values, the application of ethical values in Islam are a divine requirement, are a divine or a dini requirement on us to apply. It's not an option or not a choice, actually. So we as Muslim institutions, organizations, companies of the public and private sectors who are delivering continuously or wanting to deliver products and services needs to implement a mechanism that fosters or that is able to deliver the amana in a systematic and systemical way. And this can be achieved through actually a systemic approach on integrity in the system. I will come later to this point. So we as we talk today about a halal economy, but the halal economy is only one. It's only talking now about actually the Sharia aspect. Normally, we should transfer this economy, the halal economy, into halal tayyib economy, to a value-based or value-driven economy, Islamic economy. Why? Because this economy, the value-based economy, can serve the value-based or the value-driven global Islamic society or the Muslim society and beyond. Today we have this situation in the global halal compliance system. It is actually a mapping of the ISO landscape. We have the standard level, standardization level, the accreditation level, the certification bodies level, and also the industry who is implementing the norms and standards, the Sharia norms, in order to comply, in order to export then to the market. The system actually is designed to facilitate and to accommodate businesses, to increase customer satisfaction, to increase the quality of the products and services. And also the system wants to convey confidence among all stakeholders. But this system is actually not really meeting its targets when it comes to serving, to building trust, credibility, and confidence in the halal sector, because the system doesn't require you to implement the ethical values. So what we should do here is, this system is not able also to because of, for example, despite of accreditation, certification bodies are accredited through the system. Despite this, there are misconduct, there are corruption, there are many other issues. So this system is really not able to facilitate the trust among the players. We need here to integrate the ethical values. So this is a concept. The concept is actually a strategical concept, how to mitigate this or how to improve the situation. We should implement a quality-driven approach. That means a quality systems in all institutions, organizations, and companies which are in service of the public and private sector, which are delivering halal products and services in such a way that that not only that they drive the system to excellence, but also they should also implement a code of ethics in order to not only reach excellent products and services, but also best practice products and services. These best practice products and services are based on universal ethical values like honesty, like decency, like responsibility, accountability, and so on. When we ask, or the ulama institutions ask all institutions by decree or by resolution to implement two things, to ask all organizations, all Muslim organizations at least, which are claiming to provide the Amana, the products and services to the halal ecosystem, they should or shall implement a systematic quality approach and an ethical approach. So the leadership could be made accountable also. When we integrate a code of ethics, the leadership could be made accountable. Also, we need to integrate it not only in the strategy, but also in the operational level, this integrity management system. We are in the OIC SMIC working on one system at the moment, and will be issued also in this year, I think. So this system is actually the halal tayyib system. When we talk about quality, we talk about ihsan. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adl wal ihsan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you to apply quality on all things. Compliance, sharia, and other regulatory requirements. Competence, we need competence in order to convey the amana. Without competence, we cannot really convey the amana. And in order to reach then also quality, compliance, competence to reach excellence in the system. We can have, for example, this product. This product can be now produced 100 million times without any modification in the quality. This product have reached excellence. The company which is producing this product have reached excellence. But now we have to ask ourselves, what about resourcing of the raw materials? Are they polluting the environment? What is about the finance system? What is about the working labor? I think this system, through the standardization, can make a lot of new business, create new opportunities, and create a real sustainable halal economy. So when this system, for example, also when we go to a company the first time, and the first presentation is a presentation about the Islamic values. So the company say, yes, this is the same ethical values that we have. They say, yes. So the answer of the company is then, okay, before we wanted only to implement the halal standards in order to export, but now we know it is an ethical system. We want the system in our company. So this system is producing continuously best practice products and creates a lot of confidence among all stakeholders because it's based on these values. And it attracts a lot of cooperation between governments, between organizations, companies, consumers, and so on. And this cooperation with everybody creates a lot of added value. Added value with, for not only for the Muslim sector or for Muslims, but also for the society at large. And it generates a lot of recognition by the time. I mean, when this system, this halal tayyib system, is being integrated in many companies around the globe, hundreds of thousands of companies, the system will permanently and slowly drive to a system of best practice. Recognition also not among the society, but also inside the company, but also by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the people who benefit the society. What is the purpose? The purpose is in the Quran. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created death and life in order to test you on your best practice. And this system, this halal tayyib system, is a best practice system. Yeah. So we can derive out of this a vision and mission. The vision is when we apply such a system to become a global Muslim community of excellence and also to support the global community in providing or in fostering the best practice. So a value-driven society. So to become actually a value-driven society of excellence and best practice with a mission to continuously deliver added value for all, for the ummah and also for the society at large, for the sake of or for the humanity and so on, for the benefit of humanity. So why we should do that? Because we have always to ask ourselves why we should do something, because when we apply this system as a successful in a successful manner, we will be not seen anymore as a part of a problem, but part of a solution. Because we have a lot of problems in the world that can be only solved together. And this system is actually an ideal concept. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Mahmoud.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's give Brother Mahmoud a halal tayyib round of applause, please. Now I'd like to call Brother Hamid, CEO of Taj Bank, to talk about SME and strategies.
I want to thank the organizers of Al-Baraka Summit for inviting us to this program, especially those of us from Africa. I believe it's very important to listen to perspectives from all over the world, Africa inclusive. I've seen a number of presentations here. Most of them talk about GCC, Asia, and so on. Well, those are more developed markets, but I think there is also a lot of potential in Africa, unexplored and untapped potential in Africa. I sit in Nigeria. We founded an Islamic bank in Nigeria about 5.5 years ago. It's called Taj Bank. And when we started, the Islamic ecosystem was still in its infancy. As you probably know, the population of Nigeria is around 240 million now. And the GDP of Nigeria is almost within the range of 500 billion. If you look at the GDP of West Africa, it's around 830 billion. So that's fairly sizable. And if you look at the population of West Africa, it's around, let's say, 300 million. And out of that population, you have almost 200 million Muslims. So 200 million Muslims and pent-up demand for Islamic finance. So let me just give an example with Taj Bank. Taj Bank started, like I said, 5.5 years ago, and we started with total assets of $70 million. And within 5 years, we grossed almost $700 and something million, almost $800 million in terms of asset size. So that gives you an idea of the Islamic ecosystem. And because of the success of Taj Bank, a lot of players now want to go into Islamic banking. A lot of banks want to open windows. There is a lot happening within the sector. If you also look at the halal sector in Nigeria, which is not well developed, you will find that in terms of religious tourism, Nigeria is probably number 3 or number 4 in terms of religious tourism. And that means hundreds of billions of dollars going into religious tourism every year. That also shows potential. And then, of course, if you look at other halal sectors, you will also find that there is a lot of demand, pent-up demand, and unrealized potential for Islamic finance. Now, what I'm trying to do is just to lay the foundation for how opportunities can be unlocked, because the size of the market is there, the interest is there, the population is there. So if you have all these ingredients, how do you unlock opportunity for not only Muslims but for society, so that we can liberate ourselves out of poverty, out of the quagmire that we find ourselves? I think it's something that can be done, as Taj Bank has demonstrated, as other institutions within the sub-region have also demonstrated. I think it can be done, and I think it's very possible. Now, like I said, if you look at the halal economy, I think this figure may be a bit exaggerated. I think it's around $3.5 trillion. But different countries are in different stages of development. For instance, I would say that Malaysia is the most developed market in terms of halal, Malaysia and the GCC. But in Africa, because we are not very structured, so the data isn't there for us to really realize the full potential of our halal industry. For instance, if you go walk into any supermarket, maybe in London or anywhere, some of those more developed markets, and you ask for halal food, this certification is there. So it's very easy for you to buy halal. But where I come from, it's not, there is no certification process. So, and that's where we are missing the opportunity. But like I said, the opportunities are there. And then you also have to look at the waqf, zakat, and sadaqah, and other forms of charitable endowments, which offer sustainable models of redistribution. Some of my panelists have spoken about it, and I think these 3 pillars are very strong pillars, tripods, through which we can wrest Islamic finance and liberate the people. For instance, in Nigeria, if you talk about, or generally in West Africa, if you talk about zakat, just like Professor Ziad said, it's an individual thing. If you ask someone, okay, how about your zakat? You say, oh, I gave it to my family members. Oh, I sent it to my village. Everything is around consumption. But Islamic finance itself is not built on consumption, it's built on production. So how do we move these funds from consumption to production? That is a challenge. We have a lot of big charities in Nigeria. For instance, there is this charity, Aliko Dangote Foundation, and it was just voted, I think, last week as one of the 100 most influential charities globally. So they are playing on the global scale. But most of the things they do are channeled towards consumption. They distribute food items, healthcare, and so on. But they seldom go into funding productive activity. And I think that is a challenge for us in the Islamic ecosystem to try and convince some of these foundations on how to move from consumption to production. I think that is the motto that we should go out with as we leave this place. Moving from consumption to production. production creates wealth. Consumption does not create wealth. So how do we translate that into reality? I think it's very important. Let me also talk about some of the institutional implications. I've talked about the institutional implications that we have, especially in developing countries. Remember in my opening statement, I said it's good to hear perspectives from all over the world. I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with what is going on in GCC, Asia, and so on, more developed markets. And like I said, you want to hear about Africa. First is our governance structures, transparent, decentralized, and service-oriented, which are not really existent. So like Professor Zia said, there is a trust deficit in terms of the governance structures. In fact, we don't even have the governance structure. For instance, if you want halal certification, how do you get it? There is no institution today that is recognized by the government that issues Sharia certification in that part of the world. So imagine if there is an institution that issues that certification. Imagine the kind of opportunities that it could unlock for SMEs, for a lot of institutions that are playing within that sector. So that is one. We don't have a governance structure. I attended a program, I think 2 years ago, where we discussed about this, and I suggested to government, I said, look, insofar as there is no governance structure or a body that is entrusted with the responsibility of reviewing and awarding halal certification, then we have not started, and we are not going to take advantage of the opportunities that are in this sector. So I think that is one of the things that is lacking. And then also the performance metrics, the success measured by maqasid fulfillment, as well as time.
Yeah, okay. I'm so sorry.
All right.
Last point, because we've only got 10 minutes, so I just want to go to the floor for some questions.
All right.
So you want to make your last point? I don't want to...
Oh, okay, so that's fine. So, and the next is talent development. I think talent development cuts across, and I think it's also a global challenge that in terms of skills. Because even in Taj Bank, we have a foundation. But I think at the executive level, we need more enlightenment, more education, and to also build up our skills in terms of how we can realize the potential of the foundation. Because even in our own foundation, what we do is we still go into areas that are mainly based on consumption. We seldom fund productive activity through the foundation of the bank. So I think that talent development is very key, and it's something that needs to be realized, inshallah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. A big round of applause for Brother Hamid. In the interest of time, we're going to go to the floor. Please, if you can keep your questions super short. No comments, please, just questions. Yes, sister.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much. This was very informative. I have my question for Mr. Mahmoud. Would you please clarify the difference between halal and halal طيب? I saw that both are the same before coming to your session.
Yes, sorry. Do you hear me?
Thank you.
Okay. Halal is, when we look closely in on the definitions, halal is coming out, is a term from the Sharia. Yeah, it's permissible, it's not permissible, how to pray, how to make wudu, how to fast, how to perform Hajj and so on. It's all a matter of Sharia. But halal tayyib introduced the ethical values, the akhlaqiyat. Because Islam is aqidah, sharia, and akhlaq, the conduct. We have not to forget this point, because you can be, for example, an Islamic scholar, yeah, very knowledgeable, but if you have not akhlaq, you will corrupt the system. You can be the best quality manager on earth. When you have not akhlaq, you will corrupt the company, the system, or the best finance chief, yeah? But if you not have akhlaq, you will corrupt the system. So there must be, based on this akhlaqiyat is promoting responsibility, the amana, because halal is an amana also. Halal, you're right, halal is but it's more the application of rules and standards, but also the Tayyib gives the ethical values.
Thank you very much, Brother Mahmoud. I think we have time for 2 more questions. Sister, maybe one more question?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. سحر زكي، مهندسة وباحثة ورئيس موقع تحرير القارات الخامسة 24. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. في سورة فصلت: قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فاستقيموا إليه واستغفروه وويل للمشركين الذين لا يؤتون الزكاة وهم بالآخرة هم كافرون. ولذلك قاتل سيدنا أبو بكر الصديق رضي الله عنه مانعي الزكاة. طيب طبعا أنا مصاريف الزكاة عارفينها، بس عايزين نربط الزكاة مع نسب الفقر والبطالة في بلادنا الإسلامية حتى يتم حلها. يعني عندي في ثنائيات تانية كمان، عندي جمارك وعندي بتمنع تواصل المنتجات بين الدول الإسلامية، عندي ضرائب وزكاة. الثنائيات لازم يتم حل المشكلات بينها يعني. وعندي عقوبات اقتصادية على بعض الدول الإسلامية، كيف تتحل؟ عندي دول غنية ودول فقيرة، فكل الثنائيات دي يعني متوقعا في المنتدى للاقتصاد الإسلامي إن هو إن شاء الله يتحدث عن هذه المشكلات ونجد لها حلولا يعني. وجزاكم الله خيرا.
حياكم الله. Ibrahim, we have time for more, or is it one more? Okay, one more. I think, brother, you've been having your hand. Oh, yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for very insightful speeches. My name is Dr. Hakan Beroğlu. I am the Islamic finance practitioner and academician. Here you mentioned about the main pillars of Islamic finance: integrity, transparency, trustworthy, trust, and all that stuff. Here I'd like to ask one question. As you know, Garuda in Indonesia, the national airline and state-owned enterprise, issued a $500 million sukuk in 2015 that many saw as a quasi-sovereign. Its default in 2021 raised concerns about the broader implications for sukuk markets, especially since corporate sukuks are already viewed as riskier. In such cases, wouldn't it be valuable to have stronger governance and early warning frameworks led by institutions like AIO, IFI, or under the coordination of OIC to help monitor high-profile issues and safeguard confidence in Islamic finance globally? Thank you.
Who would like to go for that really quickly? Yeah, Professor?
So, very quickly on the issue of the supervision or the oversight on sukuk, that takes place per jurisdiction effectively. There are central Sharia boards that have been established in many of these countries. And even if it's a global sukuk, it has to be issued from a specific issuer and advisor. Within that, the jurisdiction will take care of the sukuk in terms of its supervision. There are weaknesses. We require better governance. Sharia scholars are coming in and signing off structures, and they are not asked to review further. Alhamdulillah, in Nigeria, we've convinced the Securities Commission to implement an oversight procedure from beginning to maturity of the sukuk. We encourage this type of approach where a halal certification is provided every single year through a Sharia audit of the sukuk in the jurisdiction. I'll stop.
Fantastic. If I could just ask one parting remark. We're all gathered here in this beautiful city of Istanbul in a historic, current and future commercial and financial hub. Maybe, Professor, what is one thing Istanbul can do as a financial services hub to further strengthen all your respective sectors to have a greater social impact?
But brother, before we conclude, maybe we just can answer the second question. I think we could.
On zakat.
On the zakat that was in Arabic. Yeah, so basically the question was mainly about, how we can relate, the zakat and how we can tackle our issue with the unemployment and the poverty that we have in our countries. I think we can relate this question to zakat and beyond, right? So one key element across all the sectors is the human capital, right? So the human resources are the key, and we need to really empower them, right? And education is really very important. I have a huge criticism, strong criticism, on the current education system, because it is like a blanket education system, and it does not really help us. So every sector and every time we need a very tailor-made programs, right? So in the example that Professor Ziad gave, right, on the zakat, they turned this 1.2 million into 20 million outcome, right? So imagine in that community, if we can, definitely the farmers in that community, they will need to be educated, and we need to be trained on the tools, etc., etc. So maybe we can have a waqf, right, to educate them, right? So you see that the waqf can integrate, right? So that we can maximize the impact by having the waqf. And if I can highlight another important aspect, so human resources, and the another trend is digitalization. And the previous speaker, he highlighted about the importance of that, right? Again, we can think about waqf, establishing a waqf. Maybe a waqf can do a marketplace for those farmers, right? So they are, those, fintech or tech solutions, they are charging 20% sometimes. If it is waqf, this 20%, the profit that they can make can be basically directed to the same community, right? So this is how you can, integrate all this together. So this is where the waqf will work perfectly when the zakat is enabled, and then definitely there will be the other aspects that, highlighted also by the other speakers, right? So like, the financing becomes on the production, not on the consumption. So everything can relate in one ecosystem, and then we can tackle the problems that has been highlighted.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Professor, final words.
Very quickly, I would suggest a four-pronged strategy. The first, consider establishing an Islamic social finance exchange. It's been done before, it's been done in India, we're working on one in Malaysia, and there are several examples. So a zakat and waqf digital exchange hosted by Borsa Istanbul. That's one option. The details I will leave for another day. The second, consider establishing an Istanbul Waqf Innovation Zone. In this area, you will have an area of entrepreneurship, accelerators and incubators for businesses that will be waqf oriented. Initially, that entire building and system and training will be waqf. The third is the SME and microfinance ecosystem. You can consider establishing a blended finance guarantee fund that will support micro enterprises and SMEs that are getting into the market. And the fourth, for halal economy and trade, establish a one-stop halal gateway. We've done this in Malaysia, where we have about 13 different halal centers that focus on a zone, economy zone, that is halal manufacturing, travel, tourism, and Islamic banking, and they are designated in different areas across Malaysia. This is something that Turkey can actually consider doing as well. I'll stop there.
Fantastic. Jazakumullah khairan. Can I get a big round of applause for all the speakers? Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your analysis and your contributions to the summit, both to our moderator and our panelists. Again, we'd like to present to you a certificate for your contributions to our summit. I'd like to call up to the stage the Manager of International Cooperation and Business Development at Al-Baraka Forum, Mr. Ibrahim Al-Sayed, to present these certificates to our esteemed contributors of the summit. First off, we'd like to present the certificate to the head of Islamic finance at the National Australia Bank, Mr. Imran Lum. The founding Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Taj Bank Ltd, Mr. Hamid Joda. Lead researcher of Center of Islamic Social Finance and International Center for Education in Islamic Finance University, Associate Professor Ziad Mohammed. Director of AOIFI FinTech Working Group member, Mr. Motaz Aboujib. and the General Manager at Halal Control, Mr. Mahmoud Tatari. Right, and if I can have all of you step to the center and front of the stage for a family photo, one last family photo to mark this panel discussion. All right, once again, extending our gratitude to our moderator and our panelists for their contributions. Thank you very, very much for that insightful discussion. Thank you very much.